Hi friends, it's Deep Basu and welcome to my channel Think Deep. I'm back and I'm going to review the film Sooryavanshi. Yes, you're right. And I just watched it at the Gaiety Galaxy Cinemas, the one of the very old single theaters in Mumbai. And firstly, I'm very happy. I think this was one of my best Diwali gifts so far. Thank you so much, Rohit Shetty, for giving me one of my best Diwali gifts, not only to me, to all the entire audience who were waiting eagerly to watch your film. And secondly, Rohit sir, I'm very sorry. I really want to apologize that I didn't believe in your conviction because this movie was supposed to release, I guess, 1.5 years ago, and due to the pandemic, when all the theaters were shut and it was quite indefinite, we all were wondering when the theaters will reopen and will people, even if it opens, will the audience go and watch movies at the theaters? So we all were in two minds, and I was really blaming you that time. Why are you not releasing Suryavanshi on an OTT platform, maybe Netflix, Z5? But I really respect you to believe in your conviction, and I'm really sorry. I take back my words, sir. Suryavanshi is meant for the theaters, and I really, request all of you to not to wait for the OTT release. Watch it right away at your nearby theater, and especially if you watch it at a single theater. That this is a movie for a single theater. You're going to enjoy it. And so, coming to the story of Suryavanshi, let me tell you. Well, you can hear the blast. Yes. So Diwali, I think the Diwali fever is still on. So coming to the story of Sooryavanshi, I won't give out the spoilers. I will just tell you a nutshell about the entire story. To begin with the story of Sooryavanshi, let me tell you, this is one Rohit Shetty film which has a plot. So most of my friends and peers were telling me that it's Sooryavanshi, it's a Rohit Shetty film, and a plot nahi rahega, it will be mindless, it will be brainless, mindless, it will be idiotic, but trust me, you're going to eat your words. This movie has a plot. This is one action film which has a meaning. Even with Simba, if you have watched Rohit Shetty's last movie, Simba, Ranveer Singh, it also had a message, a strong message about anti-rape. So even Suryavanshi has a good message, which I will not give out the spoilers. You need to watch it. So it's definitely, I think, one of the best Rohit Shetty action films till date. And this movie was worth the wait, worth the watch. So coming to the story of Sooryavanshi, the movie begins basically talking about the 1993 blast. As you know, the 1993 blast was one of the most tragic terrorist attacks which happened in Mumbai. So the movie takes place after that, where the terrorist group is planning to have sleeper cells all over Mumbai, and they are planning for another attack, and they are unplanned attack, and this is happening, I think will happen after 13 years, and all of them are waiting for an unplanned attack in Mumbai, and one person who is there to go against them and stop them is Veer Suryavanshi. So, and how Veer Suryavanshi is a cop, a brave cop, a super cop who's not only a husband but also a father. And he has a strange relationship with his wife because one day during his work, he had endangered his son's life. So that's one reason his wife doesn't like him, and they are planning to separate. But Veer Suryavanshi is one super cop who is never off duty, and he leaves no stones unturned when it comes to his duty or saving his country. So this entire story basically talks how Veer Suryavanshi, how with the help of his task force, his group, he stops these sleeper cells and he protects his country. That's the story of Veer Suryavanshi, and of course there are guest appearances. You don't have to guess the guest appearances. We have our very own Ranveer Singh coming back as Simba, and also Ajay Devgan coming back as Bhalelao Singham. And they basically come during the last 15 minutes of the film. So the entire film is basically on Mr. Akshay Kumar's shoulders. And the entire story is, overall the story is, coming to the story and technical details, overall the story is quite impactful. And definitely it has a very strong message about Hindu, Muslim, the religion dynamics, and there are certain emotional sequences as well. Certain sequences are also quite thought provoking. Few dialogues are also quite thought provoking. I love the dialogues. I love the punchlines. And by the way, the comic sequence is also quite comic. Basically, I forgot to tell you, Akshay Kumar plays a cop. The V Suryavanshi is a cop who is unable to, who has this, what do you call, Bimari. He's unable to remember names. So whenever he calls one of his, colleague or one of his teammate, he always calls them in a different name. So and Akshay Kumar's comic timing is amazing. At the age of 53, his action, his comic timing, his overall persona, I think the newcomers will take around 50 years to get there. So the comic sequences are very convincing. Unlike your Golmaal Returns or Golmaal series, the comic sequences were quite brainless. But here, comic sequences were quite convincing, quite consistent. The punchline dialogues are also quite well written, and definitely, as I said, it's very thought provoking. And coming to the performances, before getting into performances, I think in the overall story, Katrina Kaif's track was a quite letdown. She didn't have much scope to perform. Her role was okay. I don't think it was very meaty. And whenever she was coming on screen, I was saying, oh no, not again. Because her track was somewhat bogging the entire story down. The story was overall quite fast paced, but whenever Katrina Kaif's track was coming, the wife track, the entire story was somewhat getting bogged down. So I think that should have been well edited. Anyway, overall, the runtime is around 2 hours 25 minutes. I think it's a decent runtime for a ensemble action-packed commercial film. Now coming to the performances, Akshay Kumar has done a good job. He's looking fit. I love his jawline. He's looking young, fit. As V Suryavanshi, of course, Akshay sir is quite convincing. And the way he danced, the way he did action sequences, where his comic timing, everything was top notch. Katrina Kaif, I said, she was decent. I never said she did a role badly. She performed pretty decently. And overall, I would like to special mention goes to Abhimanyu Singh. He was the negative character. Amazing. Special mention goes to Gulshan Grover. I saw him in Gaiety. I bumped into him. My God, he looks so good. The original Bollywood's bad man. Gulshan Grover has done a great job. Jackie Shroff, the main kingpin, is also superb. Nikitan Dheer and Abbas and overall, most of the actors did a great job. Very convincing. And let's not forget the guest appearances. Simba, Ranveer Singh was superb. You'll fall in love with him once again. And Ajay Devgan, sir, my God, even that 10-minute cameo was बहुत भारी था. It had a lot of weightage. And the only problem which was happening in the film that when these three actors were introduced, the director and the writer had to give them equal weightage. So towards the end, I felt it was a little dragged because when these three big stars were introduced, the writer and the director had to devote, I think, 7 minutes per character, per action sequence. So that, every character gets their own weightage, their own punchline, their own action sequence. So somewhat the movie got a little, delayed towards the end. But nevertheless, that's what the movies, I think we all were waiting for these guest appearances. And the songs were by Tanishq Bakshi was also nice. I think the Mere Yara, I think, was my favorite song. So this is my review for Sooryavanshi, and anything I'm forgetting, watch it at the theaters. Please watch it at the theaters. Don't wait for the OTT. Right now, one of my colleagues were telling me OTT में कब आएगा? अबे OTT में छोड़, जाके देख. I went to Gaiety Galaxy, I think, after so many years. Go to Gaiety Galaxy, watch it. And anything else I'm missing out in Sooryavanshi is because of my excitement, sometimes I miss out a lot of points. Music I mentioned, technical details, performance I mentioned, and there's a surprise. If you're an Akshay Kumar fan, there's a surprise. There's one song which will suddenly give you a very surprising. I was not expecting that song. The song was not there during the promotions. So if you're a hardened Akshay Kumar fan, there's a surprise waiting for all of you. I will not tell you the surprise. And anything else? Yeah, that's it. That's sorry. And so, guys, police are here. Police aa chuki hai. All of you go and watch it. This is my review for Sooryavanshi. I'll be watching Surya's new film. I'll review that too. So, guys, I sign off and no spoilers. Watch it and let me know how do you like it. Goodbye. Aa rahi hai police.